Oh, and we've fallen behind on Emerald City.
Yeah. So you were watching that? You liked
I'm
that?
watching it because I don't have all the premium channels when they started. I missed out on the ground floor of Game of Thrones, AMC, and I just don't want to be caught behind anymore. I just want to be at least, even if it's
Mhm.
crappy. And it's kind of weird. That show's growing on me.
Yeah.
Like I,
Have you been watching Legion? Because Legion is great.
wait, which one is Legion?
That's on
Legion.
FX.
Yeah, it's on FX. It's an X-Men show, but it's not set in the X-Men universe. It's sort of like a parallel universe. And Legion is a character from the comics, and he has
Oh, okay.
mind powers, and it's really pretty great. I mean, it's uneven, but it's fun. Definitely a
That's
good one.
perfect. Like I watched the pilot and I enjoyed it, but I haven't actually got back. And everyone keeps telling me I need to because they're like it gets more fun, and yet they're like it's uneven, but it's gonna be worth it. So I really need to get back to it.
Yeah, and it's only 8 episodes, so you can just like
Yeah.
chomp it down in a weekend.
Then been kind of glued with the CW because I've been with all all the superhero DC shows so long.
Hmm.
I'm just kind of now it's more of a habit than actual any strong.
Does that mean that you're watching Supergirl? Are you
Yes,
keeping up?
I actually like.
yeah.
I actually
Yeah,
like Supergirl.
Supergirl is. I
I
like
am
Supergirl
really
too.
surprised. I thought it would have been crappier because the first pilot episode kind of gave me the feel like, oh, it's gonna be like Lois and Clark.
Yeah.
Right, like that's the feeling I got, but it's one of the. So this is the thing I have with CW shows is they always start off middling and then they get good but then they drop back down, right? It's like
Yeah.
it's like jumping off a ramp. You get to the high point, and then it starts. Supergirl is just kind of almost exponentially. It moves from strength to strength.
I feel like Supergirl is like the teen Vogue of TV shows where you're like, wait, really? Supergirl is doing that? Okay.
Yeah. I think that's a really good
Unexpectedly
comparison.
awesome.
Yeah. It's
Although-
fun. It's a
It
fun
is.
show.
Yeah.
Like
it is.
it has its flaws and its shallowness from time to time, but there's so much cool stuff going on, and I just love all the characters.
And what I
watching
like-
it along
That's the
with
thing.
Flash is great.
Well,
I can't
the
wait for
thing
their
is,
crossover.
so many of the superhero shows, and especially DC, are so broody that it just gets you kind of fatigued. It's like, I get it, the world's messed up, you're angry, nothing works
Mhm.
right, no matter what you want to do. It's like, fine, but you're not making me happy that I'm watching your show. That's what the problem with the Arrow. Arrow has there's like every season needs a primary angst, but then it has a secondary angst to go along with it. So everything's angsty. It's just like, oh no.
Like there's the A angst and the B angst plot. Like then you just sort of switch.
It's
The
like
angst and the bankst.
And Flash is kind of going that way now too, because like everything's my fault. A guy cries more often than I don't know what cries.
My wife's
Weeping
problem with Flash is she's like, he was so worked up about changing the timeline, and then suddenly the whole plot hinges on him changing the timeline. She's like, what's that about?
It's weird. Well, it's not even changing. It's trying to predict, and I don't know. It's just weird.
Well, if you're wondering where Patrick is, those of you joining just now, he got bit by the time zone change. So he is racing back to his studio, and we were going to start the show as soon as he gets here. Poor guy. He's going to be out of
We should
breath.
play the soundtrack to the French Connection, even though that didn't take place in France.
That's all right. He's our French connection because he is connected to the show and he is French.
I'm on the metro.
He is racing. Poor guy. He was so panicked. He's like, I thought it was only a half hour early. I'm like, yeah, which is in 5 minutes. He's like, time zone. I'm like, I forgot to tell you. I forgot to remind you. So, and we have to get done by 2:00. So it's our own version of a DTNS heist podcast. we don't have to get done. We have to get done recording in time for me to then publish it by 2:00. So we can do it. I know we can.
Look, he made it! Wow!
Oh, sorry.
Well done.
Yeah, you're only like 4 minutes late.
That's like way faster than I expected.
Yeah.
Well,
Did you
I
teleport?
ran. I'm sorry?
Did you teleport? Just running.
I tried. Didn't work.
You're like blinking, like
Yeah. Ah, Jesus.
I'll need control when you get a chance, Tom.
all right. All right, take a moment to catch your breath, Patrick. It's fine.
Okay. I'll edit
Everything's gonna be fine.
I'll edit the text so I can read it.
Oh yeah, you want me to help you put in some line breaks?
Okay, I'm halfway there. I might stumble a couple of times because I didn't read it. So.
That's okay. I gave you the
All right.
PlayStation one though, so that's good.
I'm sorry?
All right. I said I gave you the PlayStation one, which you already know.
Cool.
So.
All right.
All right. I am ready to go.
I'm ready. Whenever you guys are.
This is proof
I was born ready.
that you were born ready, Patrick.
And hey, Annalie. Nice
Hi,
to-
Patrick. Yeah, nice to see you.
All right.
All right.
3, 2.
This show is brought to you by audience members like me, not outside organizations. To find out more, go to dailytechnewsshow.com/support.
This is the Daily Tech News for Tuesday, March 14th, 2017. I'm Tom Merritt, racing in against time, literally. We'll explain in a second. Patrick Beja is with us from Paris. How are you doing, Patrick?
I'm cursing daylight savings, and it's 1 hour discrepancy with what I thought the show time was going to be. And I'm also very sad that I had to rush out of the theater midway through Logan, which was really good.
Yeah, it is really good.
Well,
the ending is
now
really good too.
I'm going to have to go back to see the ending.
Well,
No spoilers.
that other voice you're hearing is culture editor at Ars Technica, Annalie Newitz, joining us again on the show. Annalie, thank you for joining us as well.
Of course, thanks.
We are got a lot to get to, including human tissue grown on robots. So let's not delay. Microsoft is rolling out its Slack-like collaborative software called Teams for no additional charge to all Office 365 users. You may remember Microsoft launched Teams in preview back in November. Now, if you pay for Office 365, you get to use Teams. They also launched 150 third-party integrations from companies like Zendesk and Hootsuite. In fact, our own Veronica Belmont's Growbot project launched on Teams today as well. This is that continuing surge by other companies to move in on that collaborative communication software that Slack and Discord and others have been paving the trail for.
And I don't know that there's any catching Slack, but maybe there's a niche to be carved for other players, especially in the context of an offering that integrates really well with everything else. So maybe, Offices obviously has a foothold in offices and in businesses all around the world. So maybe.
Yeah, and I think it's also just that now anybody who's working in a company is kind of expecting to use this software. So I think Microsoft, they are behind the curve, but it makes sense that they would do this. I honestly can't see them catching up to Slack because you can already use 360 and Slack. And if you're already in Slack and you've been, archiving all your crap that you've written in Slack, why would you move over? I'm not sure. Maybe just to have it be more seamlessly integrated, like you were saying.
I think there's one advantage, just very quickly, to the Microsoft ecosystem, and that's the company directory, which is always super useful on all of the, especially if you work in a large company. Maybe a small one doesn't. Sorry, I have to catch my breath. I'm definitely not Logan. Whew. Although maybe in the beginning.
Or are you? Yeah.
Or maybe I'm trying to deceive you. I have the beard. Right. So the directory, the company directory is super useful in a big company. I know that when I was working at Blizzard Entertainment, for example, it was invaluable because I sometimes didn't know who I was getting in a meeting with, or all these things. And Slack doesn't really have this at this point, I don't think.
I think the big advantage for Microsoft here, or the big opportunity, I should say, not advantage, is for companies that aren't on Slack. Somebody who's already a Microsoft client, has been hearing about Slack, hasn't implemented it. Now they have an easy thing that they can implement that is part of the suite of software that they already understand. And I think they'll get some take up there.
And also, eventually, it's going to work with your HoloLens, right? So you're going to get that,
Yes.
you're going to sit down with your Slack friends. I mean, your
Talk about your corporate directory, right? It'll just tell you right in front of, hovering in front of you, who you're looking at.
I'm sorry, I couldn't help but chuckle when you said HoloLens. Users of Gmail for Android can now send or request money from anyone using Google Wallet. You use the attach feature and choose send money instead of attach file. It works to any email address, and Google integrated Wallet into Gmail in 2013, but this is the first time it's offered the integration on mobile.
And to start with, it's US only. So this is a very small rollout in a lot of ways. But another example of companies trying to catch up and getting into the game, this time the game that Venmo has sort of paved the way for.
I mean, it seems obvious to have it on mobile because that's exactly when you want to be able to pay your friend for half of dinner or whatever is on your phone. So to me, it made complete sense. And I think I would be a good user for this because I've never really declared allegiance to a particular app for giving people $10 or whatever. So, I mean, I've tried a couple, but so yeah, I'll probably just do it because I do everything that Google tells me.
Are you already set up on Google Wallet?
I am about to be set up on Google Wallet.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So
this is my final frontier. Yeah.
Right. They get everything.
Yeah.
It is
they have
surprising
my money too.
That it's not, the tiny amount of friction that these things create is too much for us to, use it in that way. I'm sure some people do, but I'm sure most people, if you have to give $10 to a friend, are going to pull out the bill and give it out, and when it should be just as easy to do it like that.
Yeah.
Maybe. A Kickstarter project called The Eye promises to add Android to your iPhone, sort of. It's an iPhone case that has its own 5-inch AMOLED screen and runs Android. So one side of your phone, when it's in the case, runs Android. It is, in fact, an Android phone. The other side is still your iPhone and runs iOS. But the case will let the two devices share the speaker and therefore the headphone jack, microphone, cameras. And then the Android side can also take advantage of 2 SIM card slots, so you have 3 SIM cards in there. Micro SD card, a 3.5mm headphone jack, IR blaster, NFC of its own, and a separate 2800 milliamp hour battery with wireless charging. So they can say a lot of things like add wireless charging to your iPhone, kind of. The early bird price is $95 without LTE, or you can get a case that has its own LTE connection for $129. That's where the SIM card slots come in. That goes up to $189 without LTE after the early bird is over. ST is the company, ESTI. They've never done anything before, and they hope to ship to backers in August or September. I can't tell if this is so crazy it just might work or just crazy.
No, it's crazy and it's really, really dumb. I don't see anyone actually wanting. So for people who don't have visuals on this, it actually makes your phone, it adds a screen on the back of your phone. So both sides of your phone have a screen.
Yeah, just what you wanted.
I can't think of any iPhone
never
user.
Pick it up without accidentally activating.
I can't think of any iPhone user who would want to use something so complicated that they would do this. If they want to use Android, they're probably going to go to Android. And this is like half-baked, cumbersome, not super, and it's easier to have 2 phones. There must be 10 people in the world who actually, well, more because they're actually getting some money on the Kickstarter. But
as someone who's used an Android and an iPhone, the idea of the 2 phones being together is appealing to me.
I don't want an iPhone. Like, I know they're supposedly great or whatever, but I already have an Android phone. But here was my question for you guys is, couldn't this be Android on one side, Android on the other side, and your crappy the case phone, couldn't that be like a burner? And so you could just sort of like, when you need to go out and like buy drugs with Bitcoin, you like slap that on and then you have that and then you can kind of take it off again? Or is
you get a burner.
Really,
you could get a burner SIM card and keep it in the case and it's easier to manage.
Yeah. So
Why
not even
you could have a personal phone on one side and then a SIM card for your burner and a SIM card for your work phone on the other.
Yeah. That's what I was wondering. Is like that I could actually see, or not even for doing something nefarious, but just if you wanted to have one phone that was just for privacy, just transactions you didn't want to show up on your personal phone or your work phone. That I could see, but I just don't know if this is a good enough phone for that to even be worthwhile.
I'm sure there are going to be 15 people or 1,000 people for whom they have, very specific use cases, drug dealers, or maybe that's more than 1,500 people.
Let's just say
you know,
Bitcoin people in general. They're not.
But
It's
yeah,
not
they're
just
not all-
drugs.
they're all
okay?
breaking the
There's
law.
good
Yeah.
reasons to want to use
Sure.
cryptocurrency. So
But I mean, in that case, you can already get an Android phone with 2 SIM card slots,
Right.
which you can use, and you have systems like Samsung's Knox, which is going to isolate. I mean, yes, maybe someone who needs this and that and the other thing, and also wants to use their iPhone for some reason and bulk it up with another screen. It seems really dumb to me, and I'm sure for the 15 people who like it, then awesome, you're gonna get your thing. But I don't see this being any a bigger market than the initial Kickstarter, and even then,
I think it's going to show up in the next Fast and the Furious movie. And like that's just gonna happen, and it's gonna be like some character's gonna like whip it out and be like, "Boom! Now I have an Android phone," and then
I
that'll
have a
be
fast Android phone and a furious iPhone, all in one.
honestly, who's gonna care except nerds like us that one phone has one side iPhone and one side Android? Really, like anyone
It's
other
the
than us?
DLT of phone cases.
All right. At a talk at an economic club of New York, Luncheon. Luncheon?
Luncheon.
Luncheon.
I
It's
don't
a, it's
know
a
what
word
that
we
is.
borrowed from the French. I'm not surprised it tripped you up.
Déjeuner.
Oh, yes. Okay. Airbnb Brian Chesky hinted that the company may pursue an IPO in 2018. Chesky stated that it would be a 2-year process and saw the company as halfway through that time. Based on its latest funding round, the company has an estimated value of $31 billion.
So we might get another high profile. I don't. What are these called? Mega unicorns when they're worth more than 10 billion. Airbnb
Megacorn?
IPO. I mean, this is just one of those. This is him floating the waters to see what the interest is. That's what it sounds like. Like everybody's been wanting us to do an IPO. We might wink wink do it. What do y'all think?
Yeah, I mean, also they're just trying to get over all the bad publicity that they had last year. They were mired in lawsuits in San Francisco, and I think there were problems in New York as well. And there's all these questions about whether municipalities are even going to allow Airbnb to function the way the company wants to function in those areas. So this is a perfect time for them to kind of shift the conversation to say, but look how much money we're worth. It's true, we might not be able to work in San Francisco, but don't pay attention to that. They did settle. Yeah, they did settle with the city of San Francisco, but I think there's still a lot of open questions about how it's going to work.
I think it's really interesting, just to finish up, when you compare it to Uber, because the two have a somewhat similar profile, not the same prospects, not the same potential, but Airbnb really looks like the adult Uber. And yes, they have issues with some companies. You can absolutely see how it could have gone the way of Uber with administrative issues and all of these problems, but they worked with the governments, with the local administrations, and they are smoothing things over. And that's what we're seeing in San Francisco and in many other cities. So I think this is a much more, it's kind of the two sides of the same phone. No, this coin.
That's the new. No, that's
I think you're right. Yeah, it's two companies that are kind of disrupting these really old spaces, and these are companies that are coming into businesses that have traditionally been kind of city-based businesses, really regional and local. Like cabs are often run by cities, just like hotels. Kind of, cities regulate them. So it's interesting to see these multinational companies kind of coming in and getting really hyper local and having to cope with that.
And Uber is like the little devil on your shoulder, and Airbnb is like the angel on the other side doing things well.
Well,
that's the
let's
image
not go that far.
Maybe not
entirely.
What is there something in between angel and devil, whatever that is? They're like
they're the purgatory residents.
They're like Godzilla on one side, and
they're the kaiju. All right, folks, this is right out of our analysts Slack. Folks who support us at a certain level on Patreon get in a Slack, and someone in there found a Hush Me product on Product Hunt. It's a mask for mobile phones. It claims to use an exclusive passive voice suppression and active voice masking technology. And basically, it makes you look like Bane, but promises to stop people from being able to hear your conversation. They also claim it's a stylish ergonomic design, although it does cover your entire lower face.
Look at this. This is no. Nobody's gonna wear that. I just the sort of the
Your
potential
conversation
for,
will be more private.
yeah, and just imagine cleaning that up at the end of the day. You're not going to
Oh
share
my
it with
God.
anyone, obviously.
Yeah, don't
but,
look
like,
too close at my pop filter already, and you'll get an idea. Yeah.
It's disgusting. And then also, one of the things it does is you put it on, and then it creates like a masking sound for other people to hear, including like Darth Vader breathing noises, or chipmunk noises, or monkey noises. So you could be sitting there talking to someone, and then like monkey noises are coming out of your mouthpiece. So that,
Which certainly won't bother other people, will it?
no, it sounds completely non-disruptive.
Yeah. I'll be honest, like their proposition in this video is me. I'm the person who doesn't like having my phone conversation when there's other people around to hear it. I don't like disrupting other people. I don't like the idea that people are listening to what I'm saying, even if it's, you know, fairly bland. I'd rather just go outside and talk in private. So for a long time, I've been wanting something that would do what this promises, but this is not, I don't know that this is the way that I wanted to do it. Certainly not with chipmunk noises.
This is like the dual case phone thing. It's like like someone did it because they could, but it's so dumb. I mean, I don't want to sound super old, you know, again, Logan, but like back in my day, people used to get up and get out of the, you know, the office, the space, whatever, when they wanted to have a conversation. And of course, everyone does it. You said I'm that use case. Everyone does that. And no one wants to be the one, you know, making too much noise or being heard. But you just go out and go by the coffee machine or whatever. You find an empty conference room. And I don't think, you know, if it was like a tiny chip that you stick on your neck and it cancels your voice for everyone but your phone.
Or it just like reads your jaw movements and can replicate your
yeah.
voice. So it, you know, or something like that. Sure. Absolutely.
Yeah.
But
But
I'd
not
even
that.
have that be a little bigger than that. Although ideally, yeah, something unobtrusive. But
What
that-
if you had something that was like a tiny keyboard and you could use it to silently type to other people? I don't know. It could work. Could
it
be
would
coming.
never work, Annalie. I would have horrible typos. Oh, wait.
I think we need robots that read our lips and then type it quickly for us. Or
Yes.
On the PlayStation blog, Sony announced it will begin a private beta for PS4 games on its PlayStation Now game streaming service. Current subscribers to the service will get access to the beta first. Sony did not reveal which games would be available. PlayStation Now recently reduced its availability to PS4 and Windows PC. The service costs $100 a year or $20 a month.
Now, yesterday we mentioned this because it broke right before the show, and I incorrectly said that you needed a PS4 to make this work. You can just use this on a PC. Oscar wrote in and asked about that. So a correction to that. You can just use this on a Windows PC. The change is that you can't use it on anything else anymore. It's just the PS4 and the Windows PC. But so with one hand, they giveth more PS4 games. It used to be just PS3 games, but they also taketh away.
Yeah, I mean, what they took away was PS3 and PS Vita and maybe a couple of TVs. And
Some broad
I think,
TVs, yeah.
yeah, the TVs is a really interesting device for this, and I think it will come back. Windows obviously is a terrific device for this, and even the PS4. And even more interesting, I think I missed the price reduction because $100 a year starts to come into that zone where it becomes competitive price-wise. It used to be the cheapest you could get was, I think, $45 for 3 months, so it would come down to $15 a month. But with that yearly option, it's really compelling, I think. Now, it all depends on the the library of games they're going to be offering, and you have a lot of competing services being offered to consumers right now. But I think we're getting to the point where, we're still in the era, just like for VR, where, for computers, it was like Atari ST and Commodore 64 and all of those, and there were a lot of competing things, and ultimately it unified. I think it might not get there because of all the competing companies, but we're getting into slowly into figuring out what the market will bear, and what the developers and publishers and manufacturers can offer in response to that. We're getting there.
All right, folks, if you want to get all the tech headlines each day in less than 10 minutes, you can subscribe to dailytechheadlines.com. That's another way to get the news each day. And now we must talk about robots. Pierre Alexis Mouthi and Andrew Carr of Oxford, apologies if that pronunciation isn't right, argued in a recent Science Robotics that humanoid robots could be used to develop better muscle and tendon grafts. And Annalie, you wrote this up for Ars Technica. Get ready for robots made with human flesh, which is what they're talking about. They're talking about putting human tissue samples onto robots so that you get better tissue replacement. Do I have that right?
Yeah. So basically, when you grow tissue now for a tissue replacement, regardless of where it is on your body, they're grown in these tanks. They look kind of like fish tanks sometimes, called bioreactors, and it's full of chemicals to help the tissues grow, and the tissues grow on what's called a trellis, which really is like a trellis that you grow vines on.
Trellis, wow.
But the problem is, as these researchers point out, that when it's just growing in a vat, it isn't stretching. And so the way that your cells grow on your body is your body's in constant motion. And so the cells grow in an environment of moving around all the time. And so what they found is that when they don't grow in that sort of motion environment, sometimes the cells don't divide properly. Sometimes there aren't enough cells. It's obviously not the right environment for them. So their big idea was, let's attach this tissue that we're growing to a robot, a humanoid robot that would be moving around. And so say you're getting joint replacement tissue, attach it to the elbow of the robot. The robot is doing, here's my elbow. Look, here's how an elbow works, kids.
Yeah, right.
And so pretend I'm a robot. And so it would be moving around, and you'd get your tissue, and it would have been essentially pre-stretched, pre-worn tissue that would be perfectly built for your body, for the part of your body it's going to go on. And, it would be, much healthier and presumably better for you in the long run. But the thing I loved about this article is they kind of go through all the medical, benefits, and they're like, look, it'd be transplants. And then they're like, also, this could help us build humanoid robots, by the way, just sort of at the end, like in the final paragraph. And they said, because after all, like, there's nothing better than cells for building muscles, especially because now in robots, we're just using things like nylon and, basically glorified elastic. And so they said, well, but cells are really good at stretching. So they're kind of proposing the Terminator, literally, which I think is kind of great. Because it is true that muscles are really good at stretching, and if you could attach them to robots, you'd get a really efficient, stretchy actuator there. So yeah, it's a good glimpse at where we're headed. Start by tempting people in with tissue implants, and then
right.
You end up with.
It's perfectly reasonable. Like, we just want to make better tissue replacement, which is true. Like, this is all true. This is all good stuff. Mm-hmm. But I love how you're right. They just sort of at the end, like, maybe the editor won't read all the way to the end. Also, we could have skin on robots.
Exactly. And there's nothing wrong with that. I think as we head toward having more humanoid robots and having robots in caretaking roles and things like that, you might want a robot that, looked a little bit more human. Although I guess that sounds really creepy now that I've said that out loud. But, but the first step was definitely just for better implants. And you can kind of imagine that they might even put a robot arm inside of a bioreactor. So you might have that kind of fish tank just with an arm in it, kind of exercising the cells. So it wouldn't necessarily be like Terminator is lumbering around wearing your future elbow or whatever.
So you have buff replacement biceps by the time.
That would be awesome.
It's funny because depending on how you put it, it can be either incredibly common sense or super freaky and terrifying, because if you think, we have machines that test appliances, right? That a sort of machine that has an arm that will open a fridge door 1,000 times per hour, or the phones that get bent, or button presses 1,000,000 times. This is, depending on how you describe it, again, it could be just that. A machine with a joint that flexes a few times an hour, and you grow the skin around it. That's fine. That's perfectly, reasonable. But the way it's presented is more, as you said, Terminator. So I'm not sure how I should approach this, and also how far along are they in that process?
This is, they're definitely not at the stage where they're attaching tissues to robotic limbs. They're saying, in this article, they're saying, look, we actually have all the technology to do this right now, so why don't we try it out? So they have the bioreactors, they certainly have robotic arms and robotic legs, so why not try putting them together? And then toward the end, they say, but looking to the future, of course, in an area that we definitely were not there yet, this could allow us to think about putting basically biological muscles inside of robots, because it is really hard to make an artificial muscle. And we already have some in our bodies, so why not just work with what we've got, So, which, like, again, it seems reasonable until you start thinking about what does that mean? Like, what do you get at the end? Is that a human? Is that a robot?
Yeah. It gets philosophical really quickly, because first you start with the skin and maybe the muscle, and if you add a couple of organs, what is it you're building? And
let me throw another ethical conundrum in while we're at it. When I was reading about the fact that when you do these bioreactors, you don't get the proper cell counts and there's some structural problems, I started to think about vat-grown meat, edible vat-grown meat. And I was wondering, well, what if you take the vat-grown meat and put it on a slowly grazing robot to sort of give it that proper structure and cell count and a little marbleization? I mean, are we going to have robot cows walking around that we can then harvest for burgers?
I really hope we are, because I think that it is an ethical quandary, because killing a cow is really different from harvesting chunks of synthetic meat off of a robot, right? Because the robot will be fine.
Right.
You would just be sort of hanging pieces of tissue on a robot, and as the robot moved around, it would, treat the tissue, and you'd be getting, basically death-free steak. So I'm pro that.
Okay with it, do you think?
I mean, I don't really like steak, but I would definitely be happier eating a synthetically, robot-grown steak.
It probably beats soy, but who knows?
I only see vat-grown steaks. Do you have any robot exercised steaks?
Yes,
available?
Exactly. That's what we eat here in Silicon Valley.
It feels like harvesting vegetables or fruits, because you have the thing walking around, and or maybe not even walking around, but you just take some of it and it grows back. And also, another thing that this made me think of, especially when you said pre-worn skin, which feels like pre-worn denim, or the things that are not, how do you call it, like pre-washed, or
pre-washed,
all that,
how do you get it to fit your, do you actually grow the entire skin of your arm, so you have to have the robot done to your specifications? The 34 is a little tight. Do you have something a little bit wider around the?
Yeah. It could make the graft easier.
Yeah, that's the idea, is that you would have something that you would size perfectly, so you'd get a limb that was the right shape and size, so that you wouldn't get an elbow that was a little too big or saggy. So
it gets really weird when the robot was growing your new skin graft on one arm and the burger you're eating on the other.
You could have a multi-purpose robot in the house once it gets cheap enough. But before that, you have the the factory manufacturing of all of these skin grafts, and by that time, the really rich can get it to their specific measurements, but the poorer people have to get.
Well, then there's a whole piracy thing with people illegally downloading celebrity measurements for their robots.
I want a celebrity arm, totally. And there'll be an app where you can pick out what you want your new arm to look like, and to sort of swipe through like all the different pictures at the factory.
Are you sure that's a Charlize Theron elbow, or did you download that on Pirate Bay?
Yeah, where did you get that skin from? I'm looking forward to people pirating body parts. I think that'll be great.
That's where we're headed with this. I mean,
imagine where the porn industry will go with that.
Oh, please! I think that imagination has already been happening
on the cutting edge. They're going to be the first to do everything.
Exactly.
Absolutely. So yeah, more power to them.
Well, thanks to everybody who participates in our subreddit and submits stories and votes on them at dailytechnewsshow.reddit.com. We get some of our best conversation starters there, so get in there and vote. A few things before we're out of here. Pick of the day comes from Michael Hastings, a technology and media arts professional who wanted to tell us about Quiver. He comes from Whidbey Island in Washington State, which he calls green trees and hilly. New patron analyst, welcome. Says, I heard about the Cowler and wireless complaint in rural areas and thought of a suggestion I use. I have a wireless hub from Airstone. Airstone, AYRSTONE.com. The hub has a half-mile radius. I'm not a farmer, but I use the hub to reach my entire neighborhood. So I don't have to worry about my bad LTE 3G sometimes and maybe 4G signal around the house. And then I use Google Voice for calling over the internet. Yes, I have trees, hills, and so I'm part of the hard-to-reach area for digital signals. I do have an awesome local phone company that has just updated its internet to the big gig fiber, so we're not lacking. Just can't do digital air signals very well. The biggest limitations of the Airstone hub devices are walls, because it will kill the signal really fast. But when at the peak of my house, I get pretty close to the half-mile promise. I've used them to help local businesses with wireless video cameras and even an internet phone for a barn. They have mesh extenders, plug-in networks, and even camera add-ons, yet it is still almost user-proof. I think he means, user mistake proof. Keep a tech handy if you... Oh, no, he does mean user-proof. He says keep a tech handy if you set something up with a mode with more than 3+ backbone devices. But anyway, for rural people looking for a way to find better connectivity, you might want to check out Airstone, AYRSTONE.com. Thank you, Michael, for sending that along. And we've got an email. Well, we got a couple of reactions, actually, to Uptime, the new YouTube app that lets you watch along with other people. Renard Mayfield said, I know when people used Yahoo Messenger as a separate app, and I think in AIM, more often you could put a YouTube link in the box and view the video at the same time. It was fun for people back then, especially when you were chatting with someone that wasn't in the same city as you. As messengers began to change, and also as mobile became more prevalent, I stopped seeing this. I can remember when I downloaded those separate messengers. Heck, I don't even have Skype on my computer separately anymore. I use their web-based browser version. And then 2 Cows Games on Twitter said about YouTube Uptime, lots of couples watch shows together but can't always be together in person. This would allow you to do that easily. So there you go. One blast from the past and one current use for Uptime.
I certainly thought of these old methods for doing exactly that when you were discussing it yesterday, I think it was. Mm-hmm. But I'm with you guys. I think it's a great idea in theory, but in reality, the barrier of having to say, oh, I'm going to be on at that time and for this, and let's get together on the... It's a little bit, maybe there are, again, a few edge cases where long distance relationship, you want to be watching the same thing. And then are you going to be watching YouTube? Maybe Netflix, but YouTube, I'm not so sure. And anyway, you can do that by launching the thing at the same time and calling each other on, whatever VoIP service you want. So I'm also a little bit skeptical, but let's say I'm not as skeptical as I am for the stupid double phone.
For the eye.
Yeah, it seems like a cute gimmick that's like looking for a reason to exist, you know? So yeah,
yeah.
I don't know about it being a way of not cheating on your spouse with TV. Because we all say that, right? Like, I cheated on you, I watched that episode. I could see maybe like if you wanted to get together and all do like a mystery science theater type thing where you were like all doing commentary on something, but again, Netflix would make more sense, not really YouTube. So.
I mean, back in the early 90s, I used to get on the phone with my friend across town in Austin, and we'd watch episodes of Northern Exposure together, just over-the-air broadcasts at the same time. So,
nice.
But you know, I did that with that one person once over the maybe 3 or 4 times, right? And so I don't know that there's enough sustained interest in it.
Exactly. I think there are some use cases, and it's trying to replicate something that can be done in the real, in meat space. Robot worn or not, but it's the wide range appeal and long-term interest that it seems we're all doubtful of.
Yeah, but that said, it's an incubator project, right? Cool thing for them to try and put out there and see. Maybe we're wrong. Maybe people will pick it up. Thank you, Annalee Newitz, for joining us. Ars Technica, of course, is one place to find her fine works. Anything to tell folks about in particular?
Well, definitely look for me on Ars Technica, and I have a novel coming out in September, which is, in fact, about robots wearing human flesh. So
it is? For real?
Yes, it is actually about robots, and some of them are wearing human flesh.
That's fantastic. I had no idea. That's great. So when does that novel come out? Does it have a title yet?
It has a title. It's called Autonomous, and it's coming out in September, and you can pre-order it now.
Oh, fantastic. So go look up Autonomous by Annalee Newitz. In fact, we'll dig up a link and stick it in the show notes.
I can show you. I have the galley.
Oh, yeah. Let's see it.
Here's the
We'll describe it.
Ooh, this is not what the final cover will look like. My name will be a lot smaller. Just so the galley.
If you're listening on audio, it's a disembodied hand under the name Annalee Newitz and above the name Autonomous. Disembodied robot hand, I should say.
Yes.
That's fantastic. Congratulations. Go check it out. Autonomous by Annalee Newitz.
Yes,
you can pre-order it for
There's
September 19th release. Patrick Beja, what's going on with you?
Well, when I'm not running out of theaters to attend Daily Tech News Show, I do a few shows of my own. One you might be interested in is Pixels, where we discussed last week the Switch along with Zelda with our good friend Scott Johnson. And I heard, as I said, yesterday's episode, and it seems the Switch is not leaving the news cycle. So if you want to understand what all the hype is about, then go listen to Pixels. It's available at FrenchSpin.com, along with a couple of other shows you might enjoy.
I also was going to mention that today is the day that my own novel, Pilot X, is out, which you can get at audible.com as well as on Amazon. And I actually have found it on the shelf at bookstores. So if you're interested in a novel about time travel, you can check that out.
Looks awesome. The cover is beautiful, too.
Oh, yeah. Dan Stiles did the cover. He's amazing.
It's gorgeous. Yeah.
Good
awesome
stuff. Thanks to everybody who supports this show, dailytechnewsshow.com/support. That includes Rolando Natalazia and David Jones and Eric Johnston, among many others. If you want to support the show, jump in and help them. Patreon.com/DTNS. Our email address is feedback@dailytechnewsshow.com. We're live Monday through Friday, 4:30 p.m. Eastern at alphageekradio.com and diamondclub.tv. And our website is dailytechnewsshow.com. We'll be back tomorrow with Scott Johnson. Or a skin-covered Scott Johnson robot.
This show is part of the Frog Pants Network. Get more at frogpants.com.
Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.
All right, now the race against the database change begins. Level 8.
All right, show bot titles real quick. Let's see. Top of the list at 7. Yo, we heard you like phones, so we put a phone in your phone so you can call while you call.
It's long, but I love it.
There's also rushing nesting phones. I like.
Why did you skip over DST1 Patrick Zero?
DST1 Patrick Zero. You happy, Patrick?
Thank you.
The bane of public calls. Get it? Get it?
Yes.
Meet the robot. MEAT, the robot. Like,
Oh my
That's
god.
not bad.
That's yeah, I got to admit it's pretty good.
do
Yeah.
electric cows dream of human skin? AI in the flesh, free range Mecha-Cow.
Ooh, I like free range Mecha-Cow.
Yeah, that's a good
That's my
one.
next
Or-
band.
Yeah.
A
Free
phone
range
booth for your
Mecha-Cow.
face.
Opening up at the DNA Lounge.
Do androids eat electric cows? Pirated celebrity bodies? Robo stilt skin? Again,
Robo
stilt-
still
No.
skin.
Robots in meat space. Robots will be happy to meet you. Skin deep AI. Real skin on a wait. Real
Oh
skin on a
man, you
robot.
guys are got a ton of them in there today. That's good.
Robot burger. Slowly greasing robot. Body parts. Pirates. AI.
Whatever. I'm just like I'm buying Tom's novel right now. This looks awesome.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
I could have sent you one.
No. Okay, come on, Amazon. Give me a thing.
Be a good Amazon.
Awesome. I'm even getting the paper version.
Whoa,
Yeah.
collector's item.
I know. The cover is so great.
Do
They're
you
like-
read mostly
Oh, I know.
on just books, or do you Kindle
do.
read?
I Kindle read a lot. But I actually like if I can get a paperback, I kind of like that. But I do both. And I guess I can start reading this on my tablet. Wait, let's see how that works.
Oh, yeah.
No.
No,
Huh. No, it'll let me.
why not?
No,
Oh,
it
good.
will. Yeah. It gives you a link. I've never done that before.
That's
Okay.
cool. I like that.
Yeah. Start reading. Give it to me.
Well, and I got to hear the audiobook for the first time. I'd actually talked to the narrator they got for it.
Oh, cool.
But I hadn't heard his finished product
Mhm.
until today when they put the sample up, and it's great. He did a fantastic job.
Cool. Yeah, I'm hoping. I don't know if my novel is going to have an audiobook. I hope it does, but I do not know. It's kind of early for them to have decided, I think.
Yeah, that was one of the last things they put together for me. Too.
Yeah. This looks awesome.
Well, I can't start reading yours yet, but I'm definitely
Too bad. Ha! No, I'm sorry. Yeah, we don't even have. All we have is the galley, and so I don't think arcs even exist for a while. So, but I will make sure that you get one if you want to read about
It's pre-ordered.
flesh robots.
Totally.
Ah,
I didn't even
Here's a
realize
little
that.
flesh robot.
Don't you have
Aww.
two or just one? I forgot how many cats you have.
I have two little flesh robots. This is Space, and Time is the nice one.
Yeah, if you're
Oh,
only listening, she's got a cat.
Oh,
in her.
you called your.
Yes, I called my cat Space and Time.
Wait, what did we decide on the title? Free range Mecha-Cow?
We haven't yet. I'm still
Free
waiting.
range Mecha-Cow.
Yeah. Okay. Good.
Come
I'm
on,
in.
yeah.
Done.
Oh no, Patrick froze. Unless that's he's doing a.
Meditation.
Yeah. He's imagining the ending of Logan.
That's so true. Yeah, because it's like, well, anyway, yeah, he'll get an action-packed finale.
Now he'll have to go. He'll have to go back though. I didn't realize. I thought he was done with the theater and was running back. I didn't realize he was in the theater.
Yeah.
Like in the middle of the movie. Oh man. And then yeah, his internet must have just gone out right at the last moment. Thank goodness it lasted through the show.
Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna go back to work.
All right, thanks,
Thank you
Annalee.
so much.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's always
Let me
fun
know
to
when
come
you're
back.
see
down
ya.
to the LA area.
Are you in LA for real? That doesn't seem real.
Glendale.
Yeah.
Glendale.
Which
Oh
is
yeah.
north of LA, and then
I've spent some time in Glendale. Yeah.
very
Beautiful.
suburban. Yeah, that's
It
right.
is.
You-
I mean,
you-
it's nice. So
You're from Irvine? Oh, wait, not Irvine.
I am. I'm from Irvine. So, but through a series of complicated things, I often meet up with family in Glendale, which has to do with the Glendale airport mostly. So yeah. So I've
Hey, guys.
actually had a lot of.
Oh, hello, Patrick.
Ooh,
Sorry,
now
it
we're,
seems my internet exploded as I was marveling at your naming of your cats.
well,
Yeah,
the space-time
like-
continuum was interrupted. So
Probably, yeah.
yeah.
So I had issues with my internet earlier today, and it seems exploded again as the show was ending, basically.
Oh.
So
Well, thank goodness we made it
Sorry.
through.
Yeah.
Didn't mean to interrupt, but
No.
super
Anyway, I'm
long.
gonna take off. It was nice to
All
meet
right.
you,
Yeah.
Patrick.
You too. Sorry it was so short, and I had to run and was out of breath.
Au revoir.
Bye. Oh well.
Oh man, I feel so bad making you miss the end of the movie. Now you have to buy another ticket or something. You can expense that.
Well, yeah.
Just
Well, it's okay. It's not too expensive. I took a.
No,
I
I
bought
know,
a
but-
card with lots of.
still.
But yeah.
I admire your
way more
dedication to the
angry at
show.
this internet not working.
Yeah,
Hmm?
that's annoying. I said I admire your dedication to the show that you ran out of the actual movie.
Yeah, well, I couldn't not.
I
Could I
appreciate it.
just abandon you? No, that wasn't an option.
You're the best.
You're the best.
Nothing's gonna keep Patrick down. Because
Well,
was
to be
born
honest, this effing internet thing might.
It's
So
gonna
I'm
keep
gonna
you
try
down,
and
yeah.
see what happens. I'm on my cell connection now.
oh, okay.
So I guess I'm gonna go and try to figure this out. So,
Yeah, of course.
All right. Thanks for the show. It was fun.
Yeah, that was a good show.
I will talk to you guys soon.
All right.
Bye,
Hope it
chat
comes back
room.
soon. Bye. Okay, folky. That is it for us. I'm going to take our stream down so that I can focus on making sure I get this in before 2 p.m., which will get it out to you guys. So thanks, everybody, for watching. We'll talk to you tomorrow.
Bye.